Hello, this is a public service announcement. In this episode, I will be discussing the symptoms and treatments for sickle cell anemia. But I wanted to stress two things. The first is everything I discuss in this episode is specific to my needs as a sickle cell patient. Secondly, and most importantly, I take a deep look at three key areas: pain crisis, infections, and fatigue. Unfortunately, after the recording of this episode, I realized that I kept saying anemia when I actually meant fatigue. Now, the illness is sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disease. However, fatigue is a byproduct of the anemia. So when you hear me say anemia, I actually mean fatigue. There will be a point where I say sickle cell anemia in relation to the illness, but then after that, when I discuss the symptoms, one of them is fatigue as a result of the anemia. I hope you enjoy this episode. Bear with me. I did say it would be a bumpy ride. See you soon. Hi there. You're listening to the S Word with Estella. I can hear the birds. I love it. I love it when I can hear the birds. So I thought it would be good to talk about symptoms and treatment. There are a lot of symptoms, but I thought it would probably be nice to focus on three of the main ones, the hard hitters. Pain, the painful pain crisis or pain episodes, infections, and anemia. For me, those are the top three that I probably still experience today. Infections, I've been a bit good with infections actually. Maybe I can put that at the bottom of the list. But yeah, in my lifetime, those would have been the three that I would have had to really navigate and watch out for. So as we know, sickle cell anemia is a blood disorder. A normal red blood cell would be the shape of a disc, right? A round disc. However, in a patient that has sickle cell, the red blood cells are sickle shaped, hence the name, or crescent moon shaped, which means that there is a major reduction of oxygen in any one red blood cell, and therefore a major reduction in the amount of oxygen flowing through the body at any given time, which can cause serious complications, of course, as we know. The way my understanding is, if you have a cluster of sickle-shaped blood running through, because when the red blood cells break down in the body, the sickle blood cells are quite sticky. They're misshapen and sticky and tend to break down a lot quicker, a lot faster. But what tends to happen is that they clump and cluster up in parts of the body, which then cause the pain. Because if you imagine, if you've got blood cells in any given area that don't have much oxygen, the body is starved of oxygen, which then causes the pain. The body's indicating that I guess you can think of it as the body is saying, I'm not breathing. Like I'm not breathing. It's dying effectively. So it's weird because I find it strange that pain medication then tends to be the solution for that. But in my life, that's, if for I guess for the extreme pain, because it comes in waves. So like now, if I were to start having a pain crisis, right? The first thing I would do actually would not be to go and get pain medication. The first thing that I would do would be to get water, because it probably means I'm dehydrated, right? And then in an extreme case, if it's and also I would rest. I would immediately say, right, it's probably time to sit down and have a bit of rest. And I would start taking in deep breaths. So that is my treatment style now at this stage of my life. But before, as a child, what would happen would be I would have pain and immediately pain medication. So it would be as little as I've had everything from as little as paracetamol to morphine, and all the other sort of crazy things you can think of in between. So that would be some of the treatment. Pain medication would be the first thing. At the hospital is where I would receive morphine. However, I have been prescribed Oramorph, which is, I think, the safer, low-grade level morphine that you can be prescribed and take home with you. I have found that the only person that has been able to prescribe me Oramorph has been my hematologists, consultants at the hospital. I have not received Oramorph from my GP. That's not to say that it can't be prescribed by them, but I've never received it from the GP. I think receiving permission from consultants would then lead a patient to be able to get it from the GP, but it's a very strong drug, so I guess it has to be regulated with an iron fist, I guess. So that would be the first point of call in terms of treatment for pain. And then infections sort of go hand in hand with the pain, or can actually trigger the pain. So I was always on a course of antibiotics every day without fail. I also, and I still do to this day, take folic acid as I guess that's a vitamin, right? Yeah. And so I've taken that every day for my whole life, and I would always take that. And then, then there's the anemia, which I've never been prescribed anything for the anemia. I have had to go and try and find different potions to help assist with that. And it's funny, at this stage of my life, I would say that the thing that I battle the most now is actually the anemia. I think it's just because I am older and wiser, and I understand how to combat the pain or tackle it or even preempt it and avoid it. I don't know if that made sense, but I'm able to preempt, how my body is going to respond to something pain-wise, and nip it in the bud before it even gets to that horrible stage. But the anemia is something that I battle on a daily basis. And I think the day that I can solve that will be I will have accomplished something great in my life, because that has not only physically been a challenge, but that has been a major mental emotional challenge for me. The pain is one thing, but you can, once you understand, I speak for myself, once I have been able to understand how my body works in relation to the pain and experiencing sickle cell pain and pain crisis, and the triggers, or the way the pain announces itself, I've been able to work with it. And that's not to say that, on a day-to-day basis, I may not have a little twinge here and there. That's not to say that I don't experience pain anymore. No, it's just that I just know how to work with it a lot better. It's like one and one plus one is two. I just understand the the process of it, I guess, or the formula, maybe the formula that my body seems to have created, whereas the the anemia side of things is yeah, it eludes me every time. I just yeah, I'm lost for words. I just haven't figured it out, and it's a real struggle. It is a real struggle. And I think as I'm saying it, it's a real battle that I'm waging war against. Yeah, so treatment for that, if I'm honest, I haven't figured it out. I haven't figured it out. Some people may say, "Oh, just get plenty of rest," but it doesn't work like that, because it's fatigue. It's anemia or fatigue related anemia, or vice versa. I don't even know which way round. But I guess, yeah, the anemia induces and triggers the fatigue, and it's like chronic fatigue at times. Sometimes it feels as if my the only way I can describe it is my mind will work at the speed of light. Like, my mind is always, but what I find with having the anemia attached to my existence is that my body can't keep up sometimes. There are times when I want to, do things. I want to be energetic and do things, and I just can't. I can't. Sometimes it feels like my body is just wasting away, like it's just breaking down, like it's just melting. Yeah, sometimes I just feel like I'm melting, like I'm just a great big knob of melted butter, and in the middle is my brain trying to will me to function, but physically I'm just not keeping up with myself. So that's an ongoing thing. But yeah, I've, like I say, with the pain, it's been a multitude of different types of pain medication. Infections has meant that I have been on or have used antibiotics a lot. And infections can be something as simple as a basic everyday cold to something as extreme as meningitis. Thankfully, I have never had meningitis, but that is how extreme it can get for somebody with sickle cell. And of course, we are in a time now with Corona Rama, where there is a risk of being infected with something that at this point we don't even really fully understand the terms and conditions of the coronavirus. I think we're still sort of trying to fully understand. I guess it's just, for me, the only way I've been able to compartmentalize coronavirus is just thinking of it as an extreme deadly flu.